Pascal's wager is one of the more interesting proofs for God in the realm of philosophy. It is interesting in the sense that he does not put great effort into attempting to prove God exists. Rather, through the wager, he presents a case for assuming God exists and living as such. He attempts to do this through probability and reason, or some might say a lack thereof. This should come as no surprise when you learn about who Pascal was. What must be understood about Pascal was that he was a child prodigy in the field of mathematics, especially in statistics. His statistical prowess translated over to his philosophical thought, as can be seen in Pensée, where his wager is presented. The basis of the wager says that when you die, there are two outcomes, and through his explanation he attempts to convince the reader that they should wager on the side of God. So let us begin to examine this idea presented in Pensée. Pascal begins this section before the wager with a call for atheists to at least consider searching for God. He was faced with many that denied God's existence without ever putting any real effort into searching for him. In Pascal's eyes, they were attacking something they never put effort into learning about. Or as Pascal put it, in order to attack it, they should have protested that they had made every effort to seek him everywhere, and even in that which the church proposes for their instruction, but without satisfaction. If they talked in this manner, they would in truth be attacking one of her pretensions. But I hope here to show that no reasonable person can speak thus, and I venture even to say that no one has ever done so. We know well enough how those who are in this mind behave. They believe they have made great efforts for their instruction, when they have spent a few hours in reading some book of scripture, and have questioned some priests on the truth of faith. After that, they boast of having made vain searches in books and among men, but verily I will tell them what I have often said, that this negligence is insufferable. So Pascal alludes to different scriptures in his writing on this topic. Jeremiah 29:13 and Deuteronomy 4:29 are the most explicit in communicating how important it is to search with all your heart, and not with minimal effort. Pascal then goes on to distinguish between those who put great effort into seeking versus those who do not. Thus, our first interest and our first duty is to enlighten ourselves on this subject, whereon depends all our conduct. Therefore, among those who do not believe, I make a vast difference between those who strive with all their power to inform themselves and those who live without troubling or thinking about it. I can have only compassion for those who sincerely bewail their doubt, who regard it as the greatest of misfortune, and who, sparing no effort to escape it, make of this inquiry their principal and most serious occupation. But as for those who pass their life without thinking of this ultimate end of life, I look upon them in a manner quite differently. This carelessness in a matter which concerns themselves, their eternity, their all, moves me more to anger than pity. It astonishes and shocks me. It is to me monstrous. So Pascal is driven to the point of fury when it comes to those who do not attempt to seek God. But just as we see today with modern atheists, they tend to boast in their disbelief. Many of whom have never seriously strived to find God, rather, they would prefer if he did not exist at all. Men despise religion, they hate it, and fear it is true. This is how Pascal speaks of those who boast in their disbelief. To the man who does not seek. And thus, the doubter who does not seek is altogether completely unhappy and completely wrong. And if besides this, he is easy and content, professes to be so, and indeed boasts of it. If it is this state itself which is the subject of his joy and vanity, I have no words to describe so silly a creature. How can people hold these opinions? What joy can we find in the expectation of nothing but hopeless misery? What reason for boasting that we are in impenetrable darkness? And how can it happen that the following argument occurs to a reasonable man? These types of claims are the reason for Pascal writing Pensée. He clearly has a great desire for others to seek after God. His intention for writing this could not be any more clear, as he says, a letter to invite to the search after God, and then to make people seek him among the philosophers, skeptics, and dogmatists who disquiet him who inquires of them. But again, Pascal has a great anger towards those who do not seek God, and I believe it is best represented in this somewhat satirical scene of a fool's mind. The fool says, I know not who put me into this world, nor what the world is, nor what I am myself. I am in terrible ignorance of everything. I know not what my body is, nor my senses, nor my soul, not even the part of me which thinks what I say, which reflects on all and on itself, and knows itself no more than the rest. I see those frightful spaces of the universe which surround me, and I find myself tied to the one corner of this vast expanse without knowing why I am put in this place rather than in another, nor why the short time which is given to me to live is assigned to me at this point rather than at another of the whole eternity which was before me or which shall come after me. I see nothing but infinities on all sides which surround me as an atom, and as a shadow which endures only for an instant and returns no more. All I know is that I must soon die, but what I know least is the very death which I cannot escape. As I know not whence I come, so I know not whither I go. I know only that in leaving this world I fall forever either into annihilation or into the hands of an angry God, without knowing to which of these two states I shall be forever assigned. Such is my state, full of weakness and uncertainty, and from all this I conclude that I ought to spend all the days of my life without caring to inquire into what must happen to me. Perhaps I might find some solution to my doubts, but I will not take the trouble, nor take a step to seek it, and after treating with scorn those who are concerned with this care, I will go without foresight and without fear to the great event, and let myself be led carelessly to death, uncertain of the eternity of my future state. Pascal finishes his thought on this topic in this: for it is not to be doubted that the duration of this life is but a moment, that the state of death is eternal. On this point, therefore, we condemn those who live without thought of the ultimate end of life. This resting in ignorance is a monstrous thing, and they who pass their life in it must be made to feel its extravagance and stupidity, by having it shown to them so that they may be confounded by the sight of their folly. So Pascal sits in bewilderment of those who do not wonder about eternity, for when he ponders on the subject, he cannot help but be amazed. Here are his words: when I consider the short duration of my life, swallowed up in the eternity before and after, the little space which I fill and even can see, engulfed in the infinite immensity of spaces of which I am ignorant and which know me not, I am frightened and am astonished at being here rather than there. For there is no reason why here rather than there. Why now rather than then? Who has put me here? By whose order and direction have this place and time been allotted to me? All this was said in preparation for the wager. Pascal has finished his rebuke of those who do not bother to seek God, but are content in their current situation of complete ignorance. Now it is time to present the case for the wager. So what I want you to do is envision yourself confronted by death, and death is sitting there and he says to you, a game is being played at the extremity of this infinite distance, where heads or tails will be turned up. What will you wager? According to reason, you can do neither the one thing nor the other. According to reason, you can defend neither of the propositions. Do not then reprove for error those who have made a choice, for you know nothing about it. But you may say, no, but I blame them for having made, not this choice, but a choice. For again, both he who chooses heads and he who chooses tails are equally at fault. They are both in the wrong. The true course is to not wager at all. But death replies, yes, but you must wager. It is not optional. You are embarked. Death is the fate of mankind. The coin will be flipped. You may refuse to call, but fate has set your path to this very moment.
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
Sir?
The most you ever lost on a coin toss?
I don't know. I couldn't say.
Call it.
Call it.
Yes.
For what?
Just call it.
Well, we need to know what we're calling it for here.
You need to call it. I can't call it for you. Well, it wouldn't be fair.
I didn't put nothing up.
Yes, you did. You've been putting it up your whole life. You just didn't know it. You know what date is on this coin?
No.
1958. It's been traveling 22 years to get here. And now it's here. And it's either heads or tails. And you have to say, call it.
Well, look, I need to know what I stand to win.
Everything.
How's that?
You stand to win everything, call it.
All right. Heads then.
If you gain all. If you lose nothing. Wager then without hesitation. Pascal's main point is this: you will die. The coin will be flipped. Either God exists or he does not. If God exists, then heaven and hell exist. If God does not, then heaven and hell do not. How is a man to wager then? Why wager on the side where you have nothing to gain and everything to lose, when you could wager on the side where you have everything to gain and nothing to lose? If the atheist is right and God does not exist, then his fate is the same as the Christians. They will die and turn to space dust, and their soul will cease to exist. However, if the Christians are right and God does exist, then the atheist has no hope of surviving the judgment. He will lose everything for all eternity. No, the atheist may say, but it is not certain. We do not know if there is a God. But Pascal's response is this: if we must not act save on certainty, we ought not to act on religion, for it is not certain. But how many things we do on an uncertainty, sea voyages, battles, etc. I say then, we must do nothing at all, for nothing is certain, and that there is more certainty in religion than there is as to whether we will see tomorrow. The human condition is to be uncertain of the next hour. According to the doctrine of chance, you ought to put yourself to the trouble of searching for the truth. For if you die without worshiping the true cause, you are lost. This, my friends, is the wager. Was Pascal successful in his mission to incite a search for God among atheists? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.